They don't want peace. They don't want an agreement. They want war. They want the entire region to go up in flames. In this article, just the headline alone should tell you everything you need to know. The president of Colombia, just a couple of years ago, received a peace prize, a Nobel Peace Prize, for his historic landmark agreement with the FARC and bringing peace to the region. And as soon as those FARC fighters walked into those camps, turned over their weapons, all of a sudden their leaders started disappearing and being assassinated one by one. This is exactly what they did in the 80s. The FARC tried to lay down their arms then too. And this is what they were repaid with. And this group is just not buying the bullshit anymore, the ELN. I don't agree with their take on the world. They're socialists, they're Marxists. But given their choices down there between living under the thumb of U.S. corporate interest or going that direction, you know, they're between a rock and a hard place. And that's kind of what today's video is going to be about. I know a lot of you think that I'm your enemy. A lot of you think that because I don't support the current Twitter, that somehow I'm part of some left-wing psyop or something. I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I'm just trying to get my conservative brethren back to the libertarian mindset that they used to have before 4 years ago. Actually, really 3 years ago. And to show them that the current administration is aligned with corporate interest, big corporate interest, big oil, big pharma. And the people in South America have seen this, and they are turning away. This article here on Telesur absolutely nails it. Absolutely freaking nails what is going on down there. They're turning away from the United States because of this open rehashing of the Monroe Doctrine, in a reinterpretation of it. And Tillerson even touted it when he was down there. And he's trying to reestablish a time in history that cannot be relived. We're way down the road from that. And these people aren't going to stand for any more U.S. oppression. I hate to say it, I mean, but Rex Tillerson warned of new imperialism, basically stating that the old imperialism is just fine. You know, you should be thankful for the old imperialism because new Chinese imperialism would be horrible for you. And I think, honest to God, you know, I'm not a big follower of William Mount. Never really have watched his videos, but he did say one thing. You know, they say a broken clock is right twice a day. So even if you don't agree with me or don't agree with anyone else, you can't say that anyone else, whether you wholly agree or disagree with them, is going to be wrong all the time. And like I said, I don't know enough about William Mount to speak about him, but he did do a video talking about this coltan, this mineral down there that apparently is incredibly valuable. And I'm not going to, you know, come here and say I'm some kind of an expert on it, but it would fall in line with the direction the current administration is going. And these people down there know what they have. This isn't a backwater down there. You go back down there in the 1960s, and these people weren't educated, and they weren't savvy in world politics. They had just, you know, thrown the chains of Spain off and were just trying to build their countries. And they really did not understand the machinations of what was going on. They saw money, and they thought it was a good thing. Not like that now. They've had an entire generation to understand what the U.S. requires of those who allow military bases to be put in their countries is. It's sometimes not a good thing. And don't take this to mean that, oh, because Russia would be so much better, or China would be so much better. Not really the case. But apparently, even in this article, you can read that they are cutting deals with the Chinese, and they talk about, well, in this article, they're talking about how they're going to try to unite South America. In the previous tab, the article was about how the deals that China's cutting down there doesn't require the governments to change their style of governing, and they don't require Chinese military bases to be put down there, like the issue with the U.S. and Colombia. And I've said it before, we have a larger military partnership, a larger financial partnership with Colombia than we even do with Mexico. And you can go and read through this guy's, what he said and what he did in Latin America and what his take on the world going forward was. At least this part of the world. And the tweets that have been put out by Marco Rubio and the statements put out by the administration itself pretty much hint and say, look, they have called on the Venezuelan military to rise up against Maduro, but the military came out and said, no, we like the guy, sorry. A vast majority of us support him. And even if we did disagree with him on certain things, we sure as hell like him a hell of a lot better than we like you, United States. And that's what I talk about when I'm talking about this giant anti-American, anti-capitalist, anti-big pharma, big oil, corporatist sentiment down there. That's how they see the U.S. They don't dislike us because we're libertarians. They don't like us because we love freedom or, the Constitution or our love of Jesus or anything like that. It's about U.S. big oil and big corporate interests. And we have a guy like Rex Tillerson being the face of the administration, being the face of the United States. That doesn't send the right message. It absolutely, just by who he is, he's going in with 2.5 strikes against him. And if anybody wants to know what the Monroe Doctrine is, just go look it up. And it's been hashed and rehashed and redone and corollaried and, this is going to sound very strange, but the real American Revolution happened in South America. Because when you talk about the U.S. American Revolution, we won a war when we were being used as the proxies for the French and the Spanish to push off Church of England influence in the New World. And that was 1776, 1789. It took us to actually write our own Constitution. War of 1812, they burned the White House to the ground. Within 30 years after that, we were tearing each other's throats out over slavery in the Civil War. And then we had the Spanish-American War. And then we had World War I. And then we had the Great Depression. And then we had World War II. And then we became this giant world megalith militarily. But then right after that, we had Korea. And that's, speaks in and of itself as to the foolishness of intervening in other people's affairs. And then Vietnam. And then very shortly we tried to militarily intervene in Panama, then the Middle East, and everybody knows the story from there. But when you talk about revolutions for freedom, you really need to look at the Bolivarian Revolution, Simon Bolivar, and what he did with Spain, and how he was able to take what at the time was the world's by far, most powerful nation. The Spanish at one time controlled 50% of the world's wealth and 80% of the known world. They were no joke. And to throw those chains off, and they were backed by Rome. And they were backed by the Catholic Church. And the French at one time. That would have been an incredible feat. And it's taken them years to do it. And they're not going to go back under the yoke of the United States. Not long term anyway, not when they have other options. And that's why we started here. Because Colombia, still being somewhat of a U.S. puppet for a very, very short time, is now basically stating unequivocally that we are no longer interested in talking peace with anyone down there. We are interested in war. And we're going to use our military to arrest anybody who tries to change that. And the reason before I said that I'm not your enemy is that you are the group of people that quintessentially was suspicious of big government, suspicious of big corporate interest, that didn't want the government telling you what to do and how to do it and being this powerful. And the reason I brought this up is that I'm seeing a lot of people out there, that people I used to... I'm a registered Republican with more libertarian leanings now, who are trying as hard as they can to make apology for and justification for what they see going on. And it's called cognitive dissonance. That's why a lot of people react to what I say very angrily, because they can't put me in the box of being a liberal, because I'm not. It's a very terrible thing to see your friends follow down a road that you know is going to lead to their own destruction, and not do anything and not say anything about it. And the reality of the case is, Miss Clinton's walking free. Did a book tour and vacation in Hawaii. And I don't care how many thumbnails you see on YouTube talking about coming indictments or coming arrests. It's been a year and how long? And we still see the videos just around the corner. It's coming soon. They're clearing out space at Guantanamo. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. Oh, they're going to arrest this guy and arrest that guy and arrest this other guy. Not going to happen. They're going to talk about it to get you to click on the videos. I know what I say here isn't popular, but it's the truth. It's cognitive dissonance. And it's a hard thing and it's everybody is susceptible to it. No one is immune to it. You just have to understand it when it comes along. It's a hard thing from my perspective, because I know the people in my audience are good people. They're decent people. They're honest people. They didn't look at the current administration and go, oh gosh, they hate the Jews, therefore we're going to vote for him. You know, I don't believe that about any of you. I don't believe any of you out there that have children go, oh man, they're going to appoint a Supreme Court justice that defended a pedophile. We're going to vote for him. You know, or he's going to make the Secretary of Labor, the man that got Jeffrey Epstein and Pedophile Island, his sweetheart deal, and make him, with absolutely no business background whatsoever, the Secretary of Labor, with the only connection being that he got a guy who was a member of Mar-a-Lago, who was an admitted convicted pedophile, a sweetheart deal that kept him out of prison. Every time you hear that, you say, oh, he must be for Obama. Not for Obama. Not for Clinton. I hope America wakes up soon and understand that there's evil on both sides. And that when you recognize evil on one side, it doesn't automatically make the other side the source of goodness, truth, and light. When you get out of the emotional side of the thinking and get back into the thought-based area, the logic-based area of thinking, you'll then see that you don't have to be beholden to either one. You can say, look, I agree with partially here, I agree with part there, but neither one has risen to the level of what I would say is someone I can support. And that's why I've said what I've said. And that's why I've stood by my words and tried to warn about what's coming. Because no one else is talking about it. No one else can really make money off of it. You know, there's no such thing, and I'll leave it here, and I know I've kind of rambled on, but I felt I had a duty to my audience, the people that have come here and supported me and made the channel this big, to explain where I'm really coming from. We have a duty as Americans to stand up and call out truth and call out lies when we see them. We have to, the reason that there isn't any coverage of what I'm talking about, there's no such thing as bad press. And the current administrator knows that. If he can be the center of attention, negative attention on CNN, that's what he wants. Positive attention on Fox, regardless, as long as he remains the center of attention, that is his goal. And if it seems like CNN tries to move on and maybe cover something else. He's going to do something else outrageous just to get them back talking about him again. He did this during the election. And it actually just, it flummoxed people, especially the people that were running against him, that he could always turn it back to him by name, no matter what. But meanwhile, the world has moved on. And things are happening, and happening quickly, that are going to affect our lives very shortly. Very close to home. Keep your eyes open, pray for one another, love each other, lift each other up. And today's Valentine's Day. So make sure that you have someone in your life, make sure that you let them know that they are much more important to you than politics or anything you see online, because that's what it really boils down to. The love we have for one another as Americans and as brothers. We have a future that we need to take care of. And it's going to start with taking care of our families and taking care of each other. Thank you so much. Channel just crossed 11,000 subs. This time last year we had 600, 700, so we're going to keep it going. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time.